Tesla went from an environmentalist brand headed by a genius mastermind who was going to save the entire world to a symbol of billionaire greed and the rise of the alt-right. It seems like an almost impossible swing for it to be that dramatic, but the protests and the boycotts against this company in response have been particularly violent and long-lasting. For the last 4+ months, there have been anti-Tesla protests and demonstrations across the world. There are dozens of anti-Elon and anti-Tesla pages online, and sales numbers for the brand continue to struggle across the board. But as of writing this script in early May of 2025, Elon Musk is still the richest man in the world, and Tesla's stock, while down from its high in December, seems to have stabilized. This has been probably one of the most impactful boycotts the auto industry has ever seen. But it's also right at the point at which these movements tend to lose steam. And maybe most crucially, this is actually a story about Elon, because as the owner and the public face of this brand, his controversies have the power to boost or crumble Tesla's stock almost instantly. Does this mean that the boycott has worked, or will this all just be a blip on a billionaire's spreadsheet? A huge thank you to Rocket Money for sponsoring today's video. Now, I have to admit here that I am a bandwagoner here, along with a lot of people, so let me explain. I wanted to like Elon for a long time, and I did like Elon because I really wanted to believe that what he was doing with Tesla and SpaceX and all of his other companies was pushing innovation to make society better. Even in those early days when he was saying dumb shit on Twitter, I was kind of not too worried about it because I sort of felt like there was still a net positive there. Like he could be a good thing still, even though he was maybe a bit of an idiot. But along with a lot of other people, it seems, I feel like I've had the rug pulled on me as to who I thought Elon Musk was, and that is kind of the fundamental basis of this boycott. Now, if you've seen our previous 2 episodes about the Bud Light and the Starbucks boycotts on this channel, then you know that boycotts, for the most part, don't always work. And in many cases, the brands that are being boycotted eventually come back to pre-controversy levels within a matter of months. But the Tesla example is an interesting one, and one that's still evolving as we make this video. So there may be some stuff that we get wrong, so bear with us. However, if you like these kind of analyses and you want to see more of them, you should consider subscribing to the channel, because that's kind of what we do here. The Tesla boycott is unique in that it is mostly a boycott of the billionaire who owns the company rather than the brand itself. I'm willing to bet that most people who are even remotely aware of the Starbucks or Bud Light boycotts couldn't even name the CEOs who were in charge of those companies at the time. In fact, this is pretty well by design, as most CEOs and owners of companies of this scale want to remove any human element to the company to avoid this kind of controversy. But in this situation, Elon Musk is Tesla. Tesla is Elon Musk. The two can't really be separated. So maybe this is kind of more of a social canceling of Elon Musk, with the actions to be taken out against his companies in the form of a boycott. But sadly, just like boycotts, getting canceled today rarely means that your life is truly over. We have seen massive creators and public figures of all types fumble tremendously in the public eye, only to launch a new album or episode to massive fanfare just a couple months or years later. In some cases, the cancellation almost does the opposite. A cultural cancellation by the left can create a social bond on the right. Andrew Callahan from Channel 5 talked about this on a podcast recently.
1 week after getting canceled, I got a job offer from InfoWars. But people always say, like, when you get canceled, like, your career's over. No, it's the opportunity to begin a second career in like that sort of like free speech warrior space with like Russell Brand in them.
You've seen creators like the Paul brothers and others lean further and further into these right-wing communities in recent years. And in a lot of ways, this is the arc that Elon Musk has followed too. Now, I'm not going to do a social breakdown on whether or not Elon Musk is a frickin' Nazi or whatever. The point is, enough people think that he is that they're defacing his dealerships, they're lighting his cars on fire or driving over them with tanks. And honestly, I don't think we've ever seen anything like this. We've never tried to collectively cancel the richest man in the world and boycott his company at the same time. But we can make some pretty good guesses as to how this is going to go down. But before we get into that, we have to acknowledge that we are not the richest people in the world, probably, you and me watching this video. Most of us need to budget and manage our finances to be able to live, let alone leverage our money politically. And that's where Rocket Money comes in. They are the all-in-one finance app that helps you save money and spend less. Rocket Money helps you manage your subscriptions, lower your bills, build a custom budget, and grow your savings all in one platform, which is really convenient in a world of extra confusing apps and websites and everything that you need to manage your money nowadays. Another cool thing is that they help monitor your credit and analyze your spending habits so that you can get customized budgets that work specifically for you. Plus, it is helpful to be able to get notifications when you're exceeding your limits so that you can get back on track. Rocket Money can even help you lower your bills by negotiating for you, from internet service to cable to even your phone plan. Rocket Money has helped save its customers up to $740 a year when they use all the app's premium features, with over $500 million in canceled subscriptions. To save more and spend less, join the over 5 million members using Rocket Money today. Go to rocketmoney.com/Levi or click the link in the description to get started for free. You can also unlock even more features with premium. That's rocketmoney.com/Levi to get started for free. Rocket Money has been sponsoring this channel for a while now. They are a great product that we genuinely stand behind. So thank you for sponsoring today's video. What I think is really interesting about the Tesla boycott is that it was always a ideologically driven company. Starbucks and Bud Light, and honestly most big brands that you can name on the S&P 500 or whatever, are typically centrist in their outlook and appeal because they want as many people as possible to be able to buy their products and avoid as many scandals as they can. The Tesla story has been the opposite since the very beginning. First, Elon Musk positioned himself and Tesla as the environmental leaders, right? They were a mission-focused brand dedicated to the disruption of the automotive industry and the betterment of the planet. This had news outlets and pundits on the right calling him a tree hugger and stuff, basically. But as we've come to learn, that whole story was just clever marketing and positioning by Elon to ensure that he could get as many government grants and subsidies as possible to make his car company feasible in the first place. He was openly supportive of the Democratic Party when Obama was the president and actually received a $465 million loan from his administration to get one of his initial factories off the ground. And the thing is, obviously, a company tailoring its public image to appear green or ethical in some way to benefit from subsidies or general public perception is kind of expected. That's how these subsidy programs work, and they actually do deliver results. Tesla very likely wouldn't exist today if it wasn't for those incentives. But what doesn't normally happen is a company doing a complete 180 in the opposite direction. Suddenly, the millions of people who signed up for tech bro, billionaire, badass, save the planet Elon had to make a decision if they still liked their cars when there was a MAGA hat on top of it. And yes, yeah, it's been a shit show, and we have already seen things shift a whole bunch in the writing of this script. So we're gonna make a bit of a projection here. Where do we think things are headed next, Levi? Please tell us. I'm dying to know your opinion. I think Elon Musk is either going to step away from Tesla or he's going to adjust his behavior in order to be more favorable amongst shareholders, not the public. He does this from time to time, right? He kind of like blows up and gets in trouble and then he slowly pulls back and we don't hear from him for a while because he knows that even just silence allows his companies to regain some favor and therefore stock price. He also knows that he's already done a lot of work to ensure that the brand, Tesla, and his other companies are going to be successful through his role at the White House. Yes, a whole other layer to this is that Donald Trump made Elon Musk basically the second most powerful person in the United States with his role as head of DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency. This may have been because Elon Musk donated $288 million to his campaign, but maybe it's just because he's so great at making things efficient, right? The relationship between Trump as president and Elon Musk as the richest man in the world is maybe the Buc-ee's gas station size red flag that we've all been looking for? Elon has basically spent his time in the White House gutting and deregulating the parts of the government that got in his way in the past, and even the ones that helped him build his companies in the first place. Now, of course, I can't prove this, but Elon likely did this to make sure that no other EV manufacturers can take advantage of those programs and initiatives to compete with Tesla in the future. As of writing this video, it seems like Elon Musk might be leaving the White House, but it also seems like a lot of the damage might already be done. In some ways, Elon has manipulated the government in the same ways that he did in the past with Obama, just this time with a chainsaw instead of a scalpel. And I think that this reveals something that a lot of other commenters have said as well, which is basically that Elon has become the fall guy for the president. Everyone gets to hate Elon Musk because he doesn't have to get elected again. And most importantly, he knows that he can just recover later. He's seen from his many controversies up to this point that he can buy a beloved company, gut it in the most public and deplorable way possible, and then turn it into his own personal echo chamber and still sell cars and launch rockets and have children that he'll never talk to. My point is that Elon Musk isn't talented. He's just uniquely willing to be hated by a lot of people. But you can't just be an asshole. You have to know how much of an asshole that you can be in the right context to get what you want. This is Elon's strength. He knows how to play a system to his advantage. When being sustainable was the best way to get money for his companies, he was Mr. Save the Planet. When Donald Trump won the election, he was wearing a MAGA hat, jumping in the air like a fucking idiot. And this is why Elon hates unions. While GM and Ford and other auto manufacturers in the US have unionized in various ways, Tesla is famously not. Why? Because unions are an independent group of people with real power to advocate for their rights in a way that actually threatens these big corporations. I've already been on this rant in our last episode. But remember when Elon just fired everyone at Twitter right after he bought it? The only way he could do that is because they weren't unionized. But what's happening with the current boycott? What's happening with Tesla and where is it going? Let's speculate, shall we? There are some factors that make the Tesla boycotts very different from the other two that we've covered. The last two boycotts were around companies that sold relatively cheap drinks, whereas Tesla sells cars that sometimes surpass $100,000. The logistics of not buying a Tesla for 99% of people just means living their life as normally as they would anyways. Whereas Starbucks and Bud Light had real obvious competitors within their niche offering a similar product at a similar price point. The boycott in this sense is again more of a social rejection of the values that Musk is promoting rather than an attempt to actually shift consumer behavior. But that being said, it is still having an impact. As of May 2025, sales are still hitting record lows in Germany and in the UK and across the EU generally. And even in the US, Tesla sales are down despite an 11% gain overall in EV sales. But what is completely unique about this boycott is the disconnection from the value of the company's stock price and the performance of the company as a whole. Because right now, Tesla's stock is doing better than it has, while simultaneously losing sales across the globe. And this, I think, comes down to the relationship between Musk and Tesla and the hype and the sort of meme coin-like energy that this company brings to the formal stock market. Shortly after Tesla's most recent earnings report, Musk announced that he would take a step back from his position at Doge, and the stock price went up. Similarly, when Trump deregulated autonomous driving across the US, we saw Tesla go up again. And this is the strange and terrifying reality with the situation. People's consumer power is just blatantly less powerful than the words and actions of a single man. So it is not that this boycott isn't having an impact, but that Elon Musk is more and more capable of changing the rules of the game to his favor so that a boycott can never truly touch him. Thank you so much for watching today's episode. If you like this series, this was kind of a new thing that we're trying out. It was a fun experiment. And if you haven't seen our previous videos on Bud Light and Starbucks, they will be listed down in the description. And as always, if you like it, make sure to literally like it and subscribe if you want to see an episode every single week.